hey, I'm glad you're here. At the time of this recording, the Super Bowl just happened. Now, I'm not a sports person, but I do look for similarities in groups that I'm not a part of. I think it's important to have empathy in these times that can be pretty divisive. So from an outside perspective, a positive thing about sports people is I'm impressed at how many last names they know. I don't know the last names of people I actually know in real life. I mean, I just don't. But sports people, they'll know all sorts of people's last names and how many times they've thrown things and maybe who they're dating. Do you know how many people I know in a couple that have last names? None of them. It's Tom and Tina. That's their full name. There's been times when my wife is like, you know Tina Bobbins? And I'm like, no, I do not. And she goes, you've known Tina Bobbins for years. And I say, look, there is no way I know Tina Bobbins. And she says, you used to date Tom? And I go, yeah, Tom and Tina I've known for decades. But Tina Bobbins, you just introduced this person to me. And don't even get me started on numbers and sports people. These people love numbers more than the count on Sesame Street. And they also love how fast people run. Almost more than 5-year-olds on a playground. They're like, look how fast he is. So I was seeing everyone's posts about the Super Bowl, and I thought, well, that's a weird thing, being a player during all of that. Like, you go into work that day, and your boss is like, hey, Madonna and Carrot Top are here? And you're like, together? And they're like, I don't know, but you go, should I say hi? And they go, that's not needed. You just do your normal job. You're like, okay, but I know they're here, so that's kind of weird. Just a normal work day. Yep, just a normal work day. But also, if you do look up, you'll see a bunch of people wearing what you wear. You go, oh, like pants and a shirt? No, I mean, they're wearing your work clothes, like with your name on the back and everything, which, okay, that does feel weird, hearing myself say it, but other than that, it's just a normal day? Yep. Okay, well, I'm going to get back to work then. Oh, yes, and one more thing. Yeah? At lunch, we need you and your stuff out of here because Usher needs the room. He's gonna do some work here in your workspace. Usher? It just sounds like a weird day to me, but what do I know? I'm watching Howling 7 New Moon Rising, a.k.a. Mystery Woman from 1995, directed by Clive Turner, who also wrote parts 4 and 5, as well as Lawnmower Man in 1993. Wait a second. Look at me knowing last names and numbers. I guess we're not so different. Except that I don't say, we made Howling 7 while I sit in a director's chair that says Clive Turner. I mean, that would be weird. But what a discovery. And speaking of discoveries, that's what this episode is all about. I do have one addendum to this episode. I prepared for this at the same time as a physical media episode and one of our top 10s of 2023. So I was focused on the physical media I own. So I missed one movie that would have been definitely on my list. So as I said, I told Ryan that I wanted to watch Sergio Corbucci westerns, a blind spot for me, and he offered to watch along. So I saw Ringo and His Golden Pistol from 1966. It focuses on a bounty hunter, Johnny Oro, or Ringo, who sees killing as purely business. In fact, he won't even draw his solid gold pistol unless he can profit from it. And as the story goes, he lets a guy live, and that guy seeks revenge, and, a town is besieged. It is great. It's so fun. For any fans of westerns that have adventure, more than grit, I would say definitely check out that movie, Ringo and His Golden Pistol. It's super fun. So let's get right to this episode as we welcome back Lindsay and Ryan, and we share 5 Dirkscoveries. Enjoy.
Innocence can be hell. Innocence can be hell.
Greetings and salutations. This is VHS, and I'm your host, Dirk Marshall. In this episode, I welcome back both podcast hosts from our personal top 10 films of 2023. Only this time, we're each bringing 5 movies we discovered this year-ish. But let's stop talking about them because they're both here right now. And we'll start with host of the Schlock and Awe podcast, Lindsay Wilkins. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back to talk about some more favorite movies that I like. So this is always a blast.
Yes, welcome. And also, Ryan Goland of the New World Pictures podcast. Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to Dirk Discoveries every single year. And I've made some pretty incredible Dirk Discoveries this year, I'm happy to say.
How was your Dirk discovery of my new NPR-style intro? Was that working for you? It's debuting.
I'm still in Dirk Discovery mode right now,
Okay,
having
all
just
right.
experienced it, but I'm liking it.
I'm going for a low-energy NPR vibe this season, and it's very hard for me to maintain because I just mainline espresso all the time. But
I don't
we'll see.
understand the choice, but I respect you, and so I will go with it.
I'm trying to win the Frasier fans back.
I do, yeah, you did all the Frasier fans. You're trying to
That's
win
right.
all the Frasier fans
That's
back.
right.
I do miss the "oh hey there," which is kind of like
Um,
you being interrupted while you're making some like secret sauce or something.
Yes.
That
That's
has
what it
always been
is.
my favorite. Like you suddenly turn around going, "Hey there" on a podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for noticing.
Your method acting there, yeah.
So a year and 12-ish months is a perfect way to measure time. Was it hard for you to only pick 5 things to talk about for this list? No? Okay, moving on.
Yeah, considering I only knew we had 5 to choose from, I thought we had more right before we got on the mic. Yeah, I would say I am currently experiencing a difficult time.
Nice.
Trying to get it down to 5.
Okay.
I have not organized myself enough, so I have a kind of a vague list of things, and I have no idea what I'm going to pick. So this is just going to be hey, let's just go with this movie right now.
Perfect. And as I said before we started recording, I could have easily picked 10 just from episodes I did this year, this season, but I went with 4 or 5. Now we're just 4. Okay, we're only doing 2. No. But I
Just
went
the
with
one. I'm like,
yeah.
oh no.
just the best one. But I went non-VHS episodes. So I will reference some because a lot of them could have easily been in these places, but in the hope of talking about something different and the rare luck that you listen to any of those previous episodes, I'll be talking about different movies here. The way this will work is a typical round robin with Lindsay going first, and then Ryan, and then myself from 5 down to 1, not necessarily numerically, but just for the sake of the conversation. If you did organize your lists that aren't organized yet from 5 to 1, then perfect, but it's not necessary. Lindsay, let's start with your number 5.
Okay, what am I going to pick? That is a very good question. Yeah, there might be a couple of Shock and Awe movies that pop up just because they completely floored me.
Yeah.
So there might be something, but I just have to acknowledge them again because these movies don't always get watched, even when you do a podcast on them and everyone tells me how good it was and you say, did you watch the movie? And they're like, no.
That's the story of my podcast.
I'm like, no, watch the movie. So I'm just going to remind people that there are certain movies that you do actually need to watch. But my first one isn't a podcast one. All that spiel for nothing. But I am going to go for Sonny Chiba, the Street Fighter, the original.
Nice.
This movie is bonkers. Like from the first 10 minutes, there's like 10 different plot lines happening. And I have no idea what Sonny is doing or why he's throwing people out a window, or why a woman is being sold into sexual slavery, and why there is a henchman that looks like a cat. None of that, but none of that matters because this is an incredibly awesome movie. This is directed by Shigeru Ozawa, and it's from 1974, and it's an insanely fun movie. So yeah, that's going to be my first pick.
That's a great pick. I love that movie. I love the Street Fighter movies. I really enjoy all 3 of them. So big fan of those films. Like, love them. I love the X-ray punch into the guy's head. It is one of my absolute favorite things of any movie ever. So great pick. I'm so glad you caught up with it because it's an awesome movie.
The reason why I watched this is because I was doing a Sonny Chiba episode with Dirk of another amazing movie which could have made the list.
Oh, nice.
But
Wolf guy.
So I decided I'd better watch some Sonny Chiba movies. So next year, Street Fighter 2 is going to be on the Discoveries list.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Sonny Chiba this year too, because now
Same.
so much of it is suddenly available. There's like
Yes.
a new one coming out like every month, and I'm gobbling them all up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doberman Cop. I have
There
yet
we
to
go.
get to. Like, there's so many that are coming out. I'm
yes.
just grabbing them, and I'm like, okay, this is the time. I got these terrible DVDs. Is what I watched, like
Mm-hmm.
Bodyguard and the Street Fighter movies, like just awful looking DVDs. And that's what all what I had. Now you have these amazing new Blu-rays and stuff coming out all the time for Sonny Chiba movies. It's perfect.
Yeah, I love it because he's somebody that like I was aware of, but I didn't have access to enough to really understand why he was important. And so now with all of these like, this gold rush of Sonny Chiba on Blu-rays, that like you can really sink your teeth into like, oh, okay, this is his thing, It's like
Yeah.
Don Lee here or Ma Dong-suk, you watch two of his movies and you're like, oh, he's the guy that punches really hard. And it's like, okay,
Yes.
you need to like see a couple to get like, oh, okay, this is how cool this dude is. But yeah, that's a wonderful pick to kick us off. Ryan, what is your number 5?
My number 5. So I am not going to do none of the discoveries that we had on our podcast, New World Pictures podcast, because we already had an episode where we did our annual award show and we went through our top 5s and our bottom 5s.
That's right.
So people can listen to that if you want to know what we discovered on that podcast and what we love. So
it's called The Worldies.
The Worldies. But I am going to bring up a movie that I would not have probably watched, maybe eventually, but I wouldn't have watched if it weren't for Dirk.
Uh-oh.
And that is
Yeah.
Cyber Tracker.
That was my number 1 up until an hour ago.
And to be fair, I really mean this is a tie because it's Cyber Tracker 1 and Cyber Tracker 2.
Yes.
Because I may even like Cyber Tracker 2 better. So I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is that I had a ridiculously good time with these movies,
Mhm.
and I know I'm going to be revisiting them often.
Yep.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Don the Dragon Wilson, it's a complete Terminator ripoff. I don't need to say anymore. I don't want to say anymore.
Yes.
Just if you haven't seen Cyber Tracker, please watch Cyber Tracker, and I know you will watch it like I did and go, well, now I need to watch Cyber Tracker too.
Yes.
And then you will, and you'll be like, I think I like that even more.
Yeah.
And as Dirk and I discussed when we discussed this movie, where is Cyber Tracker 3? I am very angry that there is not another Cyber Tracker.
Same. And this director's going to come up on my list as well. So it's really a good year for him. But we did an episode on Cyber Tracker for this podcast. It was on my list because when I think about movies that I came across this year, not knowing it existed, and then just got so much joy out of it and just was like, I will continually rewatch this. And I've seen it a couple times already, both of them. And man, billionaires are so weird because they don't do cool stuff like make Cyber Tracker 3. They just like have lots of money and maybe send someone to space for 10 seconds. But like you could make 10 Cyber Tracker movies for a fraction of like what it was originally made for.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't get it. But yes, Cyber Tracker is an excellent pick for your number 5. My number 5, keeping on movies that everyone's talking about these days, is Foes from 1977.
Oh, yeah, on the top of everyone's list.
Everyone
Yes.
they're like, I'm going to talk about Saltburn and Foes. So Foes is from 1977. It's a science fiction horror movie. My wife, Sarah, was on a trip, and when she goes out of town and goes by shops where there's DVDs or vinyl, like soundtracks, she'll take pictures of it to text me and then be like, hey, do you need this? It's very sweet. I really appreciate it. And one of the vinyl was Foes, and I was like, I've never heard of Foes, and it's got like a really cool font. And hold on, maybe I have it right here. Okay, here's the Blu-ray right here, so you can see.
Oh, okay.
Retro.
You shared
Yes.
this one with me, I think. I have not seen this, though.
I think I've seen you talk about this one. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a very small film, and the way they do that is the government people are in a room, and then everything else is at a lighthouse. And the reason the two, like the army can't come in or anything, is because there's a giant invisible magnetic wall. So there's 4 people at a lighthouse. Aliens show up in the spaceship. I posted a clip online, and they encounter these aliens. They can't. The humans are just normal people, 4 people, and they're just like, we don't know what to do. And it's a real slow film, directed by John Coates. It's his only directing credit. However, he works to this day in visual effects on films like Deep Blue Sea, New Nightmare, UHF, Blood Diamond. Those are all the same genre. And it's not fast paced, but the effects are really odd and endearing. And when the aliens show up, it's not someone in a suit. I kept expecting it to be someone in a suit. It's these weird, lasery optical effects that are so weird and so odd. It's really interesting. It was put out by Garage House Pictures on Blu-ray in 2019 for the first time anywhere, and the transfer looks really great. I found it on eBay, not too difficultly, but I get why some people are like, this is boring. It's just people at a lighthouse. It is. It's them being like, we don't know what to do, and then they get sucked into the spaceship, and people have burns, and you're like, oh God, what would you do? And what I would do is watch Foes. That's my number 5.
So this sounds very similar to what Annihilation is kind of. I maybe just like putting away
Yeah.
the lighthouse and the force field, and then
Yeah.
Alex Garner just kind of remade it and adding a scary bear.
Because no one else had seen this. Yeah, that's
Yes,
basically
exactly.
Yeah, this is Annihilation as much as the wonderful vampire classic Nocturna is Hotel Transylvania, basically.
Excellent.
Yeah, same thing, same quality. No one will argue. Lindsay, what is your number 4?
Oh gosh, my number 4. My number 4 is going to be, all right, I'm gonna say a movie that I should have watched already, but I only finally watched it this year, and then went, oh, this is why everyone keeps talking about how good Rapid Fire is. Yeah, I finally saw Rapid Fire.
Yes.
Dwight Little, early 90s. This is, of course, Little, now I'm blanking on his name.
Brandon Lee?
Lee.
Yeah.
Before being absolutely stupid charismatic and absolutely amazing, and actually showing off what he could do, which is really cool. He's not completely his dad, but he is also his own thing. And you're just thinking, oh, I'm going to watch a movie star like develop, and not quite. But Rapid Fire is a really fun movie. It's a really cool wrong man, wrong time movie. And then them running around. I think Ted Levine plays not a bad guy in it. Or was it, no, sorry, it's Powers Booth. Powers Booth plays not a bad guy in it, and that is kind of amazing because I kept expecting him to turn the whole way through, and it's like, no, he's just a grumpy asshole, but he's actually generally good. So this is the movie I should have seen years ago, but now I've finally seen it, and it rules.
Ryan?
Yeah. I mean, it does rule. I can't do. I love this. I love Rapid Fire. That's another movie that I think it did have a Blu-ray way back when. I think Twilight Time put one out.
They did, yes.
But that's way out of print and super expensive to get a hold of. So I only own this on streaming, which is not really owning it at all.
So do I. Yeah, I only own it on streaming, which is not really ownership.
But as long as that guy who does wants to go up into space continues to maintain that platform, I should be okay. But still, I love this movie. It's so good. And you're right. He absolutely owns this movie, and he's such a star. Obviously, The Crow showed how much potential he had.
More depth to it. Yeah, yes.
He had even more going on, but in terms of just pure action star charisma, it's a really underseen. I mean, I think in action circles it gets all the love, but
yes,
I think generally speaking, to the general moviegoer, this doesn't get enough love, and it's an incredibly good movie.
Yeah, I agree. Seeing him in this and Showdown in Little Tokyo back in the day, I was like, well, this guy's a star. And then for people that were alive at that time when The Crow was coming out, and we were just, nobody was like, no, he's not The Crow. Everyone was just like, hell yes, they got the casting right for The Crow. And then sad turn of events there. But yeah, excellent pick with Rapid Fire. I love that you've got some action going on in your discoveries here.
I do, yes.
Let's see if Ryan's got some action with his number 4.
I do have some action going on with my number 4, and that is No Contest.
Oh,
yes! I love this movie so much.
No contest. No contest is there's no contest how much fun this has. It says,
wait, is this the Sharon Tweed one?
Oh yes, Shannon Tweed, Robert Davi, Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh.
Yes, I am thinking of the right one. This movie's great.
It is a diehard ripoff at a fashion show.
Mm-hmm.
In a tall tower, because that's where you got to have it.
Yeah, this movie was so much fun. It is so fun and so dumb, and it really ticked every box that I like. So, and a natural progression from Cybertracker to No Contest. I love Die Hard ripoffs are super fun.
Yep, I have one on my list.
That's terrific. So do I. So this is it, and this is one weird DVD that I got from off eBay, but it's all the writing on it. I would tell you the plot synopsis, but it's all in Korean, so I don't know. But It does say a beautiful woman can stop more than traffic.
True.
That doesn't have anything to do with
Yeah.
the film, is all I can tell you. But
Yeah.
it is just such a fun movie. Shannon Tweed is not on the poster, and the front poster, which is odd because she's really the main character. It's
Yeah,
like,
she
doesn't make any
is.
sense.
Mhm.
But anyway, if you like Shannon Tweed, if you like Andrew Dice Clay, if you like Robert Davi, if you like 90s DTV action, which I seem to be purely suggesting you watch in this episode, but
Yeah.
I would suggest finding a copy of No Contest. It's really, really good, really fun.
I know in
Excellent.
Australia it was on Amazon Prime for a while. I don't know if it's still there, but that's how I watched it. So
Okay.
hopefully
Okay.
it's still there. So it does pop up occasionally. But no, it's super fun. Like it's that you could do it really good, like just fun double of that and like Takedown of Beverly Hills, I think it is, with is it Ken? Yeah, just some Robert Darby
Ken
bad guy
Wall.
goodness. Yeah, Ken
Yeah.
Wall. It's just some like Robert Darby, it's cheesy 90s early action bad guy
Mhm.
goodness.
Yeah, both of those are great films. I own both of those, and
Yep.
I love those. They're both like, that one even maybe even more ambitious in that
Oh yeah.
the Die Hard
Yeah.
taking of the entire Beverly Hills.
I was gonna say they
Yes.
do and take
It's-
down the whole entirety of Beverly Hills in that. I was impressed.
It is amazing, and the action star is just a former football player.
Mhm.
It's that one is
Playing a
just
football player.
incredible.
Yeah.
But No Contest really. I
Yeah.
thought I'd seen all the Die Hard ripoffs, but there's so many more, and
Yeah.
I'll need to get them all. Much like Lady Terminator movies or Lady
Yes.
Cyborg movies, I need to watch them all. So one
Yeah.
day.
Have you seen Automatic with Olivier Gruner?
No. You suggested that, and I
Okay.
haven't. I have it on a watch list. I haven't seen it yet, though.
Yeah, that is. You add that to make it a triple because that is
Yeah.
a much smaller film, but so much like, guys, remember Die Hard? Let's do that with cyborgs.
What was it? Automatic?
But with
Automatic.
cyborgs,
Yeah.
that's terrific.
Olivier Gruner plays multiple cyborgs in it, but it's just
Oh shit.
Olivier Gruner. It's great. Okay, my number 4 is Spirits of the Air, Gremlins of the Clouds from 1988.
Oh my god. Here am I writing things down again.
You guys big fans of this one?
Yeah, I've seen it so many times.
Absolutely.
So, okay, it's the directorial debut of Alex Proyas from The Crow.
Oh.
Yeah, and Dark City. So when you mentioned The Crow, I was like, oh my God, like I have a direct tie-in right here. Umbrella released this. It's on a glorious Blu-ray. Just like, look at this thing.
Oh.
Oh,
It's
yes,
That looks
yes,
pretty.
yes.
Yeah, I actually have seen that poster. Yes.
It
Yes,
is-
I did not get that one, but I saw that Umbrella had released that through Vinegar Syndrome, right? That's
You can order it through them, but it's on Umbrella. Is it co-labeled? No. Just
Umbrella is now a partner label with Vinegar Syndrome. So
I usually you'd see that on the bottom down here, I think.
no, it is a partner label, so they just help. OCN just helps distribute.
Okay, gotcha.
It'll still say Umbrella on it. It just you can get it off the website is all I'm saying. For those that would
got
want
you.
to
Yeah, I
get
was
it
just
that way and not have to spend $140 in order to get it directly sent from Australia, like I do when I
Yeah.
order from Umbrella.
yeah.
Which is good because when I order from Umbrella, it's still expensive, but the postage is sweet, so I can get it in a
Right.
few days. So this
Yeah.
is definitely going in my cart.
I was just confused because things like Cloak and Dagger, it has the Vinegar Syndrome, but then it also has Universal on there. So I was like, I don't know.
Well,
what's
that's just
going
because it's owned by the studio, so they have to do that. And I think they're putting out a couple Paramount movies. I think
right.
MGM also does that across many partner labels, where
Yeah.
they have to display that it's an MGM movie.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, it's 2 adult siblings that live in a weird shack in the desert. It's post-apocalypse. There's crucifixes everywhere. A stranger shows up, and their lives are kind of altered. It's super colorful. Every shot is like a visual feast. I had never tracked this down. I didn't really know it existed, and then I was placing an order, and there it popped up, and I was like, well, it's his first film. I gotta see it. I think I already know what it's gonna be, and it is that. It is like a small indie, like super colorful, very ambitious 3-person film. But I love that stuff. I love that like small 1988 art housey kind of thing. So if that is your vibe and you want to see more from Alex, which I think we all do, I wish we got something every year to see what was coming out of his wild brain. But yeah, Spirits of the Air, Gremlins of the Clouds rolls right up the tongue. Everyone should be able to know. That's my number 4. Lindsay, what's your number 3?
Well, my number 3, I have to go with something Italian because this is me. But this is going to be Cult 38 Special Squad, directed by Massimo Delmino.
There goes
It has
Ryan right there.
Marisol Busafi, which I'm butchering all those names. I apologize. And this movie is amazing. I mean, there is a stunt that is so casually done, you don't know for about 2 seconds, and then you realize how insane it is. Like, it is a typical police drama, but it is so good.
Teskey's.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's one of my favorites in terms of that. I'm glad that you brought up something Italian because I had something in my broader 10 pick list.
Yes.
That
I have to have something Italian.
But so I don't have anything Italian. So I'm so glad you brought that up. It's a really, really good one. Yeah, it's an excellent one.
What's it about?
It is generally cops and gangsters kind of movie. Like most Italian movies, I ever remember the actual plot. I don't think it starts with his family being killed. I think they're almost murdered. So he organizes the special squad that all have Colt 38s and they're all on motorbikes. Mm-hmm. And now I'm mixing this movie because I watched this very close to Rome Armed to the Teeth, which is more insane. And then they're just trying to take down these bad guys. And it turns into a really good chase movie. When I love Italian movies, it's because they're bonkers and well made, but this is just really well made. Yeah.
Yeah, she's right. That's pretty much it. And Tough Ones, or AKA Roamed Armed to the Teeth, was going to be on my Discoveries list as well.
What?
Yes. Who is the bad guy again? He's playing a dwarf that shits bullets, and you're just like...
Thomas Millian is
is
the hunchback there who swallows bullets to get out of a police interrogation. Such a good movie. And Colt 38 is, they basically, like a lot of the movies are, because it's all about the years of lead and stuff that's happening in Italy at the time. So a lot of it's like, we got to take these guys down. So let's put together a group. And oftentimes it's not about what you think an American version of that would be. Really, it's just about, let's get these guys, let's give them all 38s, let's get them on motorcycles and do stunts. That's essentially what
I was a bit worried. I'm like, okay, I might be mixing to the Teeth. I might be mixing
and it does
those movies together in my brain. Yeah.
They do have similar elements, the Tough Ones and Rome Armed to the Teeth. It's not about building the big squad. Colt 38 squad is, but again, it's not about building the squad. It's not an Untouchables movie where they're like meeting the new guys and everybody has their own special. It's not that kind of thing. They just all have the same gun and they ride around on motorcycles and get in lots of stunts, and it's super fun.
Sounds great.
You can't think too much when you're watching Italian movies. You just enjoy. Just settle in and enjoy.
All right. Perfect. Ryan, what's your number 3?
All right, my number 3. This is gonna get tough. Okay, well, I'm gonna go for Srigala.
Oh yes, got it right here.
This is an Indonesian Friday the 13th ripoff, and when I say ripoff, it is a ripoff. But here's what it doesn't rip off: a giant boat chase with a ninja. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen in Friday the 13th. So
I love Indonesian ripoffs so much.
It basically, people are on an island. They start getting murdered one by one. There's a mysterious stranger. Somebody's doing it. Takes absolutely rips from Friday the 13th. There's scenes in it. You're like, well, okay, I see exactly what you're doing. I think the ending, exactly like Friday the 13th. Lots of stuff that they steal, but there's lots of other bonkers stuff that happens in this movie that they don't steal, that they just add in to themselves and have their own little flavor to it. This was just an absolute blast, and it was one of the first things I bought from TerraVision, which is a Blu-ray company.
Yep.
And they also put out vinyl, and I bought a bunch of their records, and I hadn't bought any of their movies, and I said, okay, I got to check this company out, see what they're up to. Very first thing I bought, and the very first thing I watched was Srigala, and I was like, well, you guys hooked me, because this was an absolute blast. So much fun. Just highly recommend it. It is, and it's not long.
No.
It's got a lot of crazy stuff,
and
it is so fun. So
that
Srigala,
is on the list.
Check it out.
Yeah. Ryan posted that on Twitter, and I had looked at the TerraVision stuff, and each time been like, okay, I know who's running the show. I know it's going to be good stuff. I'm not going to spend the money. And then I just had FOMO looking at what Ryan had purchased, and I was like, well, no. And then someone goes, End of the Line's really good. And I was like, well, I don't need it. And then people said what Srigala was, and I was like, it's in the cart. Oh no, I'm shopping right now.
It's done. It's coming.
Yeah, I don't regret it either. It's really a lot of fun. I thought it was just going to be, like you said, a Friday the 13th ripoff, and And when it gets to the ninja, I was like, what? Did Godfrey Ho come and visit? Like, what is this?
Yes,
What a delight.
it is so great. And you were like, what is happening? What?
Yeah.
How do we even, I literally thought, swear to God, was
Yeah.
like, how did we get here? I was trying to think, well, like, how did we get from Friday the 13th ripoff to this ninja boat race?
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. Like if you're not Indonesian, Friday the 13th ripoff isn't enough to hook you.
Yeah.
Hopefully Ninja Boat Race will get you to watch this movie.
Yeah, and both are great titles, but Srigala's good too, I guess. But
also works. That is the ultimate title.
But
so also AKA Wolf, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
That is what, if you're looking it up on Letterboxd, that's what it's going to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
From 1981.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. My number 3 is Terrifying Girls High School Animal Classmates, aka Animal Courage, from 1973.
Get the pen.
Yeah.
So you only wanted to pick movies with super long titles?
Yeah.
This is exactly like his best of year list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this film, I had never heard of what I'm about to say, and so it was such a delight. This is the 4th film in a series. It's the final one. So Terrifying Girls High School. The first one was Women's Violent Classroom. The second one was Lynch Law Classroom. The third was Delinquent Convulsion Group, and then
Sure.
And then the 4th one, Animal Classmates or Animal Courage, depending on which release you get. Discotheque is who put this out. It's a school's run by badass ladies, and a new badass arrives. It's the kind of delinquent stuff you would know is the whole genre from the 80s. I dipped into the Stray Cat Rock films a couple of years ago or last year. Loved those. The Female Prison Scorpion box set. This doesn't have a box set, and I've only seen the 4th one. I only own the 4th one, which is going to drive me nuts as someone that collects stuff. So that I'm probably going to end up buying all these bootlegs, and then the box set will come out, but I won't be able to sleep until I have all 4. So
once you finally get the other 3 and you finally get the last one in your hand, it's going to be like
box set.
Severin puts out, and you're like, damn it.
Like, Sarah, I can now go to sleep. If you need me, I will be asleep.
Yeah.
She's like, okay.
Yep, that's what happens. It stars Riko Ike, I think. She's in all 4. She was an actress and a musician who's really interesting, controversial career. I think she's awesome in these. I can't wait to see the other 3. Like I said, Discotheque is who put it out. They don't have any of the other ones, but if you like those types of films, it's like your typical, like, they're mean with each other. There's some fights. There's cool gangs, and I just like the vibe of these things. The Stray Cat movies really like kicked it off for me, and now I'm seeking all these things out. I like badass girl gangs. What can I say? So that's my pick. Terrifying Girls High School Animal Classmates, aka Animal Courage.
Well, I haven't seen that one, Dirk. This is going to be a refrain.
I don't even know who I bought it from, because I don't know if I bought it through Discotheque. I'm not sure. I just was putting all my stuff away one day and was like, oh, I'll watch this.
I own this.
And then that happened.
Look at this thing I own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at what
did I even buy it?
I know I did, but I don't know from where. Okay, we're up to the top 2. No pressure as you finalize your lists. But
Okay.
Lindsay, what do you got for 2?
Boy.
I should have asked this at the beginning. Can I pick a movie that I watched last year but is going to be officially released this year?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yes. Okay. One of the best movies of 2024, because it is being IFC and it's going to go on Shudder, and I think about April in the States, so it should be going out.
Mark your calendar.
That is Late Night with the Devil, directed by Cameron Carnes and his brother Colin. It stars David. I'm having names I can't say. This is the problem. David Dastmalchian as kind of a Johnny Carson kind of rival. Like it's the 70s. He's got this kind of, it's called Night Owls. It's this kind of very cool late night show in the terms of late night shows. And it's the Halloween, and also it's, might get this wrong, Sweeps Week, where they kind of rounded all the ratings to see who's doing that well. And it's meant to be like a big night. It's like after a big football game or something. I don't quite understand it, but they keep talking about Sweeps Week at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this half found footage movie, half not, because it's a live tape recording. And this late night host, in all his kind of, I want to beat Carson, tries to have a on-air exorcism. and it is so much fun. I saw this at a late night screening. And it was the time of my life. David Dastmalchian is really good, kind of playing it coy, but you kind of see these motivations underneath, these kind of relationships that get revealed through interviews and a little bit behind the scenes. And even the exorcism part is done well because it's generally creepy. And I don't always find exorcisms creepy because I've seen them done the exact same way 15 times. But this is actually generally, I didn't quite know exactly what was going to happen next because it has that live TV feel of, oh shit, things are going wrong. That skit didn't land, or this happened, or this small. Yeah, so it's an amazing movie. Please watch it when it comes out because this movie rules.
We haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I already had it on my watch list.
Same,
and I have heard very good things about it. So I'm excited to see it. It still is not available to watch. So
No. Yes, it was why I managed to get a ticket from the festival I usually go to every year, and it was a packed crowd, and everyone was cheering by the end. So that could be the fantasy bump when you think a movie's really great, and then the rest of everyone else watches it and goes, "Oh, come on, guys."
No, I've heard
but
good
I think it's
things.
really strong concept, really strong, just good, solid horror filmmaking. So, Late Night with the Devil.
All right.
yeah, sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it whenever we can. That looks really good.
Okay, something for the future for us.
Yes.
Ryan, what's your number 2?
Me? You talking to me? I'm stalling. Um,
Also doing your best Clint Eastwood impersonation.
Clint Eastwood? You talking to me?
Yeah. You know,
when was
wait,
the last time
he
you saw
holds-
Taxi Driver?
He holds the gun
talking to
out
me?
and he's like,
Oh,
go ahead.
boy.
You talking to me? That's what I remember him saying.
That's right. That's the old Clint Eastwood classic phrase. Oh, there was another movie I had, and I need to find out what it's still called. It almost made my top 10, but I will bring it up here. I'll bring up a different one, but still also one that almost got onto my top 10, and that is a British movie from 2023 called Scrapper.
Oh,
And-
yes, this one. Yes.
Yeah,
this
this is
sweet.
about
Yeah.
a little girl whose mom has passed away, and she's managed to fool some people into believing that she's living with her uncle. And so she's kind of just on her own, taking care of herself. And in comes her dad, who she doesn't know. She's about 10 years old. She's unaware of her dad, and he just kind of shows up, is like, I heard your mom passed away, so she didn't really want me to be a part of your life, but I'm here. And of course, she doesn't really believe him at first or trust him. And this is a movie that, like, they both are kind of they're obviously related and they are very similar, but they don't know it. And this is the kind of movie that I think in other hands, other than this is a debut from Charlotte Regan, who's the director. I think I may not have been as into this one, but I can't stop thinking about it. It had some great funny moments. It had some very cool imagination with the spiders that goes on. In fact, there's some really cool weird stuff in it that is nicely sprinkled throughout, and then it sort of drifts away from, which is too bad. But I think showed me that this is a director I want to follow and I want to see more of her stuff. So, but this is her first film. She's only done short films before this. And also the two lead performances, the little girl whose name is Lola Campbell, this is her first movie. She's absolutely tremendous in this movie. And Harris Dickinson, who was in Triangle of Sadness, which is one of my favorite movies as well from previous year. He's just incredible here as the dad. He's also in Iron Claw, which I haven't seen yet either. But
Very sad Iron Claw. I saw that yesterday.
Yes. And he was also in See How They Run, which I really, really dig too.
Oh, yeah, he is too.
Yeah. But God, in Triangle of Sadness, he plays the biggest, like, airheaded dum-dum. And in this one, he's still like a kind of a dum-dum, but he's just kind of more like he's just still kind of trying to get his crap together, and he has to get his crap together a little bit for this girl who, his daughter, to now take care of her. And so I don't know, there was just something about it that was so charming to me. There was something about the father-daughter story that was very touching to me as a father. And I don't know, I just really loved it. And the performances are just fantastic. Scrapper.
Yeah, there's an amazing moment where her and her friend have this most elaborate thing to try and lock him out of the house, and they're thinking that's going to make him go away, because it's got this very cool kids adventure thing running through it.
Yeah.
And of course, he knows he's an adult, even though he might be a bit of a screw up, he's still an adult, and he knows how to get into the house. So within 2 seconds. No, I really liked Harris in this. This movie's really sweet. I really loved the imagination moments where you really get into her head. Very organized 10-year-old. The fact that she's able to take care of herself to this point is kind of, I would have run out of food within a week and
Yeah.
not gone well.
Which she has, because the milk is turned and she's got like she doesn't have
You
a
see
lot of,
things around the edge
Yeah.
that it's not
yeah.
quite.
She's not really doing a good job of this, but
No, she's definitely, but she thinks she is because she thinks she's in like a girls' adventure novel, like Harriet the
Mhm.
Spy or something.
Yep.
That's kind of how it's starting through, and then her dad comes in, and it starts becoming a little bit more real. And yeah, it would have nice to have a bit more of imagination sequences to it. But those two performances are great. It's a really sweet, a really strong first movie.
yeah. I bring it up because I just saw it and I thought I want to see more of this. Whoever made this, I want to see more of what they've done. And then they only had a few short films out, which I haven't been able to see. And so I'm like, well, whatever they're going to do next, I want to see it. Not unlike Rye Lane and some of the other movies I saw last year that I was like, I need to follow this person because they're really doing something I really like. And this one's kind of a small, simple story, but that's kind of thing that I love too. As much as I love Indonesian Friday the 13th movies, I also really love like little small stories where you're just living with them and you're living in their world, and it's not so sweet that it's very syrupy. It's not Hollywood. It's not done in a Hollywood way. It sort of doesn't even very neatly finish out its story. It sort of leaves things a bit messy, which I like.
Yeah.
And that's Scrapper.
Scrapper.
Yes.
Awesome. I have not seen it, so no comment here, but I've added it to my list because you said spiders. Okay.
I knew I'd get you somehow. I knew I'd get
The
you somehow.
whole subplot with the spiders is amazing. They have their own
great.
drama. It's kind of a great, it's amazing. Oh yeah, you're right. I wish there was more spiders because that was hilarious.
It was a great little inspired moment, and she kind of strays off from it. There's like a documentary almost thing to set up the situation to start that sort of fizzles away too. But it was like, it seemed like she was like, I'm going to do everything, and then eventually had to be like, I have to edit together a movie, so I have to just kind of focus myself. So excited to see what else she will do.
Yeah, and maybe there's like some spider stuff on the Blu-ray when that comes out. Maybe
there is a Blu-ray out. I don't have it, but it is out, and
it's also on Showtime, I think. I don't know if you have to rent it or if you can stream it, but it is definitely on Showtime.
right.
I rented it to start, but I didn't realize it had a Blu-ray until they actually have it through Kino Lorber. You can get it through them in the US.
Is it on sale currently?
It is on sale currently. Yep. And they're a Sundance sale.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm going to buy it.
And
It's in my cart. It's in my
It's-
cart. I
okay.
just have to get to the price point where I can get free shipping. So
Perfect.
that's all I have to do.
no, it is also for Australians. It's also on Stan, so you can see it there as well. And you should buy if you can get the Blu-ray, buy it because it is a truly delightful movie.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. My number 2 is not that long of a title.
Wow, I'm disappointed already.
Yeah. It's called Lisa the Fox Fairy from 2015. It's looks like this. It is a Hungarian film.
Yes. Okay. So I've seen that art before.
Yeah, it's released domestically by Cauldron Films. I blind bought it based on the description. It is a black comedy homily. That's kind of what they say. Lisa's a nurse seeking love. Her only companion is a long-dead Japanese pop star who turns her into a fox fairy out of jealousy, and now every man that falls in love with her dies. Can she beat the curse? That's the film. It's got a wonderful soundtrack if you like off-kilter Hungarian comedies, and who doesn't, with murder and art house sensibilities, then Lisa the Fox Fairy is well worth a watch. It doesn't have super amazing CG effects like Amelie would have, but it just has a great heart, a great energy. The relationship between this dead pop singer and Lisa is really fun. And The Deaths of All the Men is great. That's also a good name for a book. Let me put that down for my memoir, Deaths of All the Men. Yeah, that's Lisa the Fox Fairy. There's not much else I can say about it. It's not super complicated, but it just has a nice energy to it. And I just haven't seen something that had that sort of Amelie fun. Even though it's a dark comedy, it still has this. It reminds me of a lighter version, but of when Delicatessen and what's the director's name there?
Jean.
Yes,
Genet.
yeah. Like before Amelie, but the just when I first was falling in love with his filmmaking. It's less like super intense like cinematography, but it
Mm.
just, his films just have this like quirky ease to them. And so that's what I got out of Lisa the Fox Fairy. It bumped off a Godfrey Ho movie, so that's how much I enjoyed this.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, that is bold.
I know. I know. No, I can't believe it. We're already at our number ones, probably because we only
Wow.
did 5 instead of 10. Lindsay, what,
Yeah.
what is your number one?
Okay, my number one, this is from a podcast that I did, but none of you people watched it, and you can see it on Tubi, so you have no excuse, and it has subtitles. I won't say too much about it because me and Dirk did, in fact, do an episode on this. But you all watched Tampopo and didn't watch Little Forest. So
That's
I am
right.
reminding people to watch Little Forest. This is directed by Kim Soon Rai. It has Kim Tae-ri, who you know from The Handmaiden from 2016, a great movie. This is the ultimate food porn. I've heard people talk about this French movie, The Taste of All of Us or something with Juliette Binoche, and the way they talk about it is like Little Forest. This young woman, she's living in Seoul, studying, not going well. She goes back to her childhood home where her mother has disappeared. You don't know where she is. It's not a huge mystery, but you do see flashbacks. And to try and connect with herself, she starts cooking the recipes that her mother used to make. And it is absolutely divine. It is got some of the most amazing food porn. I would eat everything in this movie. And the music is amazing. She reconnects with childhood friends. And it's a simple movie about learning to be yourself again through things that made you happy. And in this case, it's eating raw tomatoes like apples. It is an absolutely exquisite movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I know I did a podcast on it, but please go watch it. It's on Tubi. It's not that hard to seek out, and it's just freaking delightful.
Yes, it makes my heart explode that you're championing this movie right now because someone watched something, even if we did an episode on it. I think this movie, you're so correct. It's just so wonderful. It's so great. There's not many things we have where we can watch it and you just feel good the entire time.
You're just happy. I'm smiling. Even when the characters are sad and going through
Yeah.
things, I'm like, okay, so how do I make this cabbage soup she's making? Because this looks actually delicious.
Yeah, I made the stewed rice cake dish from this movie
Oh,
for my New Year's meal. My family was out of
yum.
town.
Yeah.
I stayed at home to take care of our new kitten, and I made that as a special treat. I made tteokbokki, and it's because of this movie. So, yeah, Little Forest rules.
I don't know. I didn't like it. No, I'm kidding. I've not seen it, and I
Well ended. I have to go.
I just now put it on my to be list, so I've added it. I will get to it, and that sounds delightful. I love hearing how well, certainly the way you both have raved about it. That's enough for me. But just hearing about a movie that just makes you feel good, like boy, I really need that. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch this. So yeah, great pick. I'm excited to join in your love of it.
It has these things in it, like the passage of time that's measured by just showing the growth of a dog. Like it's just
Yes.
these little cues that you see, and you're just like, well, that's so efficient. Like,
Mm.
oh man, yeah.
Or she's making certain vegetables that hadn't, because she's growing most of her food.
Yep.
So now she's playing with food or she's making something out of food that she had grown. So that's where you also can see the passage of time. It's
Mhm.
so well done.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
fantastic.
I'm excited for this one.
Okay, Ryan, you're number one.
Number one. Okay. Gosh, there's a bunch of these that I'm not going to get to. But again, just another person that I saw a movie and I wanted to watch another movie that they directed.
Mhm.
I didn't get a chance to do it before this episode, but I'm a big fan of John Wick, so I had to go see Ballerina. Of course, I'm talking about the ballerina from Korea. It's directed by Lee Chung-hyun, who also directed a movie I believe called The Call, which I have not seen, but you guys maybe have. This is a Korean revenge film about a girl who's sort of I guess they say in the synopsis she's like an ex-bodyguard. So it's not quite one of those revenge stories where it's like a special agent or a hitman or something like that. But essentially one of her very good friends kills herself because of a situation that she's in and basically is hoping that she will get revenge for her. And boy, does she. And she hunts down everybody related to this and takes them down. It was really fantastic. It almost made my top 10 of the year, but I really wanted to save it for Discoveries because I was like, I want to watch everything this person makes. So to me, it's like it jumped into a discovery because I'm like, I
Mhm.
am not done. I need to see The Call. I need to see everything this director has done. The lead actress is fantastic in it. I think Jung Jung Seo. I'm ruining that name, but anyway, fantastic performance. The ending was just like holy shit, and I was like, yes, I'm in to for everything for this director. It's super fun revenge film. Yeah, that's Ballerina for 2023.
This is on my watch list. I was going to try and watch it before we recorded our best of, but I didn't get a chance to. But this is definitely bumping up on the watch list now.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, so that's
Yes.
another reason why I was like, boy, Netflix is having a great year in our top 10 lists because they had a lot of really good stuff this year, and that's gonna probably that can continue, but they're not making as many films now. They're stopping their amount of films, but they might still acquire a lot of movies from overseas. So we might still have some really good movies on Netflix, but we're probably not going to get a lot of originals because they're cutting down on the amount of original movies that they get, and they're trying to do more stuff like getting wrestling and doing things like that on Netflix,
Smart.
which we all signed up for.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to stream
Is
movies.
that where they won the streaming wars?
That's right. That's right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get more of those ad revenue stuff and find ways to do that, which is what every streamer has to do now because streaming doesn't make money.
No.
And anyway, but if you go to Netflix, there's a lot of good stuff on there, and in particular is Ballerina.
Yeah, I saw Ballerina. I was very excited to see it, not even because of John Wick, but because of The Call. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought you seen it. Well, I was just trying to play with the fact that there's a John Wick offshoot called The Ballerina.
Yeah.
Theaters this year.
Yeah. But The Call's really good. I'm excited for you to see that one too. The director is a great director. You know.
Yeah, he's really really great, and I was hoping to see it before this, but I just didn't have time.
Yeah. Okay, my number one. This could have been any of like 10 or even 20 80s to 90s action post-apocalypse movies, but those could all be future episodes. So I was like, okay, let's not do that.
Save them.
Yep. So I'm going to go with T-Force from 1994, directed by Richard Pepin.
Yes, Richard Pepin.
There
on
he
the
is.
list, showing up twice here.
Dude, someone get him on the phone. He did Cybertracker 1 and 2, of course.
Uh-huh.
The reason this won't be a VHS episode is because I did an episode on it, but it was with Robert Brockway and Sean Baby for 1-900-HOT-DOG. You can find it on their podcast, The Dog Zone 9000. In the near future, after a hostage situation goes awry, the last resort option of law enforcement, Cybernaut Unit T-Force, yeah, we get the word Cybernaut, it rules, is ordered to be disassembled. So this section I just said, the hostage going awry section, is the Die Hard section. This is a Die Hard ripoff.
Nice.
And it has Vernon Wells with a chin strap beard as the bad guy. So he's even like doing like his version of the bad guy in Die Hard. The robots are seen as a threat to, so they can use, so the robots can use that threat to them as a reason to prolong their lives, so they can they find a loophole in their own code and then go on a murderous rampage. But luckily Jack Scalia's there to stop it all. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you've seen any Richard Pepin movie, you know he's good at one thing for sure, and that's explosions. Does he explode everything? Yes, 100%. Is there a dune buggy race for kind of no reason? Yes, there is. And explosions the entire time. It is people shooting rocket launchers back and forth. It is such a true delight. The opening of the sequence is the people who are cyborgs, who are cyborgs mainly because they just have their breasts covered with metal plates, but they stand on a hill and it says T-Force in giant like metallic cartoon letters above them with an explosion in the background that freeze frames. It's the most awesome, unnecessary intro to a film that isn't directly tied to a narrative. It is so great. I love, this guy brought me a lot of joy this year between Cybertracker 1 and 2 and T-Force, and I watched a slew of his other movies, but unfortunately did so in a way that I couldn't tell you the names of any of them. But there's an Alien ripoff with explosions, there's just so many great ones. But yeah, so that's my number one. There you have it.
We talked about this when we talked about Cybertracker, and I'm so glad you got to see it. I tried to hunt down the DVD, and I haven't had very good luck. It's
I
very
think I got
expensive.
the last one.
And it is not. Yeah, I think you got the one that I was looking at, and I should have jumped on it sooner. That's on me, not you.
Yeah.
and it's not available anywhere. It
It's
just
so
isn't.
crazy.
It's his.
I just found it on YouTube. So
Okay,
yeah, which
I
is,
couldn't find it
yes.
on YouTube. Oh, fantastic.
Oh, someone
Okay,
put it
Well,
up.
at least there's that.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Well, because I
Well,
want to watch through all the Richard Pepin stuff. I'll try to do that this year because
Yeah.
he's just fantastic. Again, these are all directors I want to watch all their stuff. So Richard Pepin's one of those guys. I just want to hunt down all of the stuff he did because he has a flavor that is just like it's my scene.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited that you got to catch this one, and I'm jealous because I want to watch it.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap it up, is there anything that you just simply can't not mention? Anything that didn't make your top 5 that either of you just wanted to throw out there?
Yes, I'm sure Lindsay has some too. I'll let Lindsay go.
You go first because you had a whole top 10. So yeah.
Well, okay. So one movie that I almost again put on my top 10 is The Conference. It's a slasher movie, and it's with a bunch of adults at a work conference.
Oh, did this have the big head that the guy
Yes,
wears?
yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
saw this. This was
Yeah.
really, really fun.
Yeah, this is on Netflix,
Mhm.
and they're basically camping, and all of a sudden this killer with a giant head. I mean, it's one of those things that I think is going to be a polarizing issue because the head is so ludicrous.
Yeah.
But if you haven't caught on that the guy is already making fun of workplace stuff, having a day job, like there's so much humor that's going through it already. But you know, it also is a foreign movie. It's I believe it's Danish. And so like it's subtitled, and so if you haven't caught on to some of the humor, but I think you will catch on to the humor. It's very funny, and it's making fun of a lot of stupid stuff that happens at these work functions or these sort of team building things. And so I think it does a great job of making fun of that. On top of it, there's a killer, and eventually the head or the mask that the killer's wearing is so ludicrous
Yeah,
that
it's
it was
so
just
good.
like every time I started seeing it, it just started to make me laugh and smile because it
Uh-huh.
was just like, yeah, I love this. I mean, and then you think like, is it any more ridiculous than some of the other masks that we accept,
Yeah.
as the mask of a killer in a slasher film? It's just a really cool slasher film, and certainly something that again I want to see more stuff that this guy has done. Patrick Eklund is the guy who did the movie, and again, it's on Netflix, so it's an easy one to see. 2 more I wanted to highlight: Haunted Samurai.
Oh yeah,
Which
I
is
got
just
that
a
one.
I'll
movie
be
that
meaning to
just-
see this. Yes.
Yeah, just kind of came out of nowhere all of a sudden. On Diabolic DVD, they put this out kind of with them and another label, and we're just like, yeah, here, this is it. We're just going to release this, and we're not going to release it again, so grab it. And I was like, okay, you sold me, I'll get it. Nothing like the fear of missing out to just force me to spend more money than I want.
Same, damn it.
And it's about a guy who's a samurai, but because he's been fighting, he got in a fight with this guy. His sister kills himself. He says, "You know what? I'm not going to be the samurai for these people anymore." And then he gets hunted down. It's just and I just love the hell out of it. I really dug this, and I never had heard of it. Never heard of it, and that's not a huge surprise for me. There's so much Asian stuff I haven't seen. There is so much Indian films that I haven't seen, or Indonesian. There's lots of stuff. So I'm not trying to say like, how did I not know of it? There's a lot, but there was no advance. It just all of a sudden it was like, yeah, here, just buy this. And I was like, okay, I'm so glad I did though. And then lastly, The Revengeful Swordswoman.
Yeah.
Which I got from Golden Ninja Video. So I really love this too. And as it had turned out, for the very first time, I had seen also Come Drink With Me.
Oh, Come Drink Me's fun. Yeah.
Which is really good. And a lot of it is that character, and a lot of the regular characters that show up in these kinds of movies are all in Revengeful Swordsman. So they're kind of like a duo here. And so I really loved Come Drink With Me so much with Chang Pei, who is fantastic in it until the last fourth when they decide, take a seat.
Yeah.
Pei, we got to make it about this dude.
Yeah.
But up until then,
can't be about the woman all the time.
Right. It's mostly about a girl, but like eventually we come to our senses and make it about this dude.
Yeah.
But
my favorite thing is like, this guy has been really bothering us. It's a woman. Like, it's gonna pepper through it occasionally.
Yeah. And so then some of the characters are then explained as you go into Revengeful Swordswoman. And it was such a great education. I love Golden Ninja Video. I really recommend people pick up. I try to just pick up anything they ever put out. There's a couple new ones that they're releasing that I have yet to get, but I'm going to get those too, because I just think they always put tons of information. They are very passionate about what they do, even though they know they're not Criterion. They're not these, but So there's a lot of interesting stuff. There's a whole booklet in here that goes through all the different characters that are in this and are in a bunch of other movies. And it was it's just a cool find, and I was just very happy to have seen both. I saw them, got them both around the same time, and just watched them right after the other, and it was like, oh, this is so cool. This is a part of Asian cinema that I wasn't as familiar with, and now I'm getting this whole education about these characters that are used again and again in different movies, and it was just terrific. So I just wanted to highlight those in case people hadn't picked those up and were thinking about it. And that's it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I just want to highlight too. I'm going to talk about it again. But I watched Abby from 1974, which is directed by the great exploitation director William Girdler. I'm just going to keep talking about it until Universal realized that they might not have made money on the actual Exorcist movie, but they could release Abby and the world would be okay again. This movie is just a whole ton of fun. I love Girdler. I love how he directs. It's a pure blaxploitation, The Exorcist. Like, it's not even really beating around the bush.
No.
But it is
which of course
so
is
much
why
fun.
it's unavailable, why you can't get it. Because they
I found a
are ripping
really
it off
dodgy,
so much.
I found a really dodgy YouTube copy of this, which is how I watched it. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's got William Marshall in it and Terry Carter. It is just so much fun. And if I keep speaking about it, maybe Universal will just go, you know what? Let's rip off what was known as the Black Exorcist or Abby, because it's just a really fun movie.
Yeah. Well, you have always had me at William Girdler, but yes, Abby is terrific. It's such a blast. It's such a wild movie, but yeah, unfortunately, it then got sued, and so they did release it, but then I don't know how much you can release it. William Friedkin sadly has passed on. Maybe he won't be so angry, but I don't know. That I think it's a studio thing, not a director thing. But
yeah, that's why I'm kind of hoping Universal wants to make a little bit of money and could just go, hey, Vinegar Syndrome, will I Abby out to you or something.
Just once, just so we can get our own wonderful new copy of it. Because yes, the YouTube one is fine. You can watch it, but it doesn't look terrific. And I know this would just look amazing if you got a nice new scan of it. And it's exactly so fun.
I mean, Vinegar Syndrome was able to release Shocking Dark or Terminator 2, which is such a ripoff.
Oh yeah, so true. Of several things.
Several things. I mean, it's like you're watching it going, oh, I can see why movie was buried. I mean, yikes. I love it. Well, not love it. That movie can be very boring, but when it's exciting, it's very fun. The other one I'll point out is I went on a massive Ip Man binge and Donnie Yen and Ip Man 2 rules. So I think this is the one with Sammo Hung. He did the choreography and he actually has a fight sequence, and it
on
rules.
The tables. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I have yet to watch Ip Man 4, but I love the Ip Man movies. I own all of them except the fourth one. I'm just pushing it off because I adore them so much. I'm like, I'm just going to treat myself eventually and get it.
Yeah.
I'm just pushing it off down the road. So one day I'll just be like, you know what? It's time. Let's watch Ip Man 4. It'll be terrific. We'll enjoy it. Maybe not quite as good as the other three, but
it's not. Yeah.
No. But man, the first two are just
unbelievable.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
They're really good. It's about this myth making that probably never happened. It's because it's about Bruce Lee's teacher and how he kind of created this style of martial art and kind of how he brought it to the world, and everything's against adversity. And it's very silly in parts, but it's so much fun. It's so good. The fight scenes are just, Donnie Yen is just perfect.
Unbelievable.
So, after John Wick 4, he's so good. I need to watch more Donnie Yen. So
yeah, I agree.
That is me. Yes.
I just in full agreement with you because I love Donnie Yen, and that's why I think even if Hitman 4 might be a little bit of lesser returns on the other Ip Man movies, Donnie Yen is just so good as this character. It'll be worth it. So love those movies.
Yeah, I love the first two. The third one's fine, and the fourth one I don't.
Mike Tyson, come on.
It. Yeah, it just wasn't. I just thought the first two were so good that.
They're excellent. The first two are just perfect.
Okay, I just have one, and I have two, and one of them was an episode that I did called Peacock King.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it would have been number one if I was numerically listing things because, oh my gosh, seeing this finally, as beautiful it is, and it's on Blu-ray, you can get it through Amazon. I'm shocked that I had a bootleg version and then could get this beautiful Blu-ray. And then Ryan told me about a website where I could find even more stuff that I didn't even know I could get. And so now I have a whole section of my collection that's just slowly filling up because I have the sequel to Peacock King. I have, what's the one you told me about that I bought? that
The Trail.
The Trail, which
The Trail,
turns
yeah.
out it has hopping vampires in it, so it totally fit this whole thing I did on my Patreon.
And a lot of music from John Carpenter movies.
Yes, yeah. I love it. It's so good. And they have a bunch of these like ghost movies and things that I didn't know
Yeah.
exist. But yeah, the Peacock King's fantastic. Hopefully this is the year that we get the cat. I mean, just give
I
us
would
the
love to see the cat.
Give it to us in its all its glory. Speaking of movies that I didn't think would get their glory, is Kill Butterfly Kill. And this is Godfrey Ho. And the great thing about this, Neon Eagle put this out, and
I
hope
missed this one.
I hope more people do this with Godfrey Ho. They put out the film, and then they put out the Godfrey Ho cut on a separate disc. So you can watch Kill Butterfly Kill and American Commando 6 back to back. So the original film, and then Godfrey Ho's it, where it's instead of starting out with this assault of this lady who then gets revenge, that's the whole film basically. It starts out with cops and ninjas, and I was like, oh, I love this. Like, American Commando 6 is my jam. And then if you watch the original film, the way it cuts back into that, you're just like, wait, what is this way of even making these movies? Like, I'm not even sure what is happening. It was such a delight. A double hoedown for me on Kill Butterfly Kill. Yeah, Neon Eagle, thank you so much. Plus, there's a podcast doing commentary on it. It's the Podcast on Fire Network. So guess what it's called there.
Mm-hmm.
So I checked them out because of this. So that's always a delight. I hope there's more Blu-rays putting podcasts on it. Anybody? Okay. Yeah, and it's just like Godfrey Ho with the 4K restoration. I mean, what is going on in the world that I get this? There it is.
Yeah, I missed out on getting that one, and it was really bummed. I was really trying to get that one. I did get the next Neon Eagle one, which I almost put on Discovery's
Zero
list,
Woman,
which is Zero Woman Red Handcuffs, which is fantastic and amazing and looks incredible. However, buyer beware, because it is littered with sexual assaults.
Yeah, that's why I don't have it.
I was like, that's not my jam at all. And so, but I do, for our podcast, I had to watch a lot of 70s exploitation stuff, which is the revenge.
I was going to say.
The rape revenge storylines are often and many. And so, there's a lot of that's not good. So that part of it, I did not enjoy.
It's a challenge.
But there is so much that is good. But like, I was watching it, and Erica was sleeping next to me, and she kept waking up like, what is going on? Because there's so much screaming in the movie. She's like, what are you watching? And I was like, Zero Woman Red Handcuffs?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, it's a terrific movie. And I love what Neon Eagle is doing. And it is an excellent 70s exploitation movie. But I mean, yikes. There's a lot of stuff in it that is like, oof.
This one, it's a lot of a lady screaming and like 5 guys kind of chasing her down. But they don't go into the graphic nature of it. But it's like, you can technically skip that scene because you get it. These 5 guys are going to get killed by her and this other guy. That's the whole movie. But
the ending, the fight scenes in it, and like the ending of it, I was just like, okay, because I was like watching it, kind of going, I don't know if I need to hold on to this. This is kind of. But to your point, skip some of that stuff, get to the really cool scenes that are amazing in the movie, and whenever she uses the handcuffs, like I'm like, well, but that kind of rules. It's just you have to take the good and take the bad, as the song goes.
Yeah. I mean, I own Undefeatable, and that movie starts off with the bad guy sexually assaulting his wife. And I hate that part. It almost ruins the movie for me. So I just skip that entire scene. And but I understand why he did it, is because when Godfrey Ho made that movie, he was obsessed with the Category 3 films. And those films are littered with sexual assault. And that's why people were watching them as these lurid films. So he was like, my action movie, if it has that, then everyone's going to watch it, which is not what happened. And now it just unfortunately has that scene in the movie, which you don't need, but whatever.
Real quick, sorry, the conference is Swedish and not Danish, and I didn't want to piss off your fan base. I know they're very particular about things, particularly.
No, the Swedish stopped listening because they were all Frasier fans, it turns out. There's a huge Swedish Frasier demographic.
That's true.
Yeah.
Frasier is huge in Sweden, so they won't even know. Yeah. But now I've made the Danish angry.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Ryan, what's Frasier called in Swedish? I forget.
He's just called Frasier. He's
Oh,
just
right.
called Frasier.
That's what it was.
That's one. That's a word that you can't. It's
I
just the
think
same in every language.
There was an
Yeah.
umlaut over one of the vowels, and I just didn't know how you pronounce that. But you're right. It's the same.
Frasier.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's over the E. It's odd, but it doesn't seem to doesn't actually it's over the R, so you really have to drag out the R.
I mean,
Doesn't make any sense, but that's an umlaut for you.
thanks for tuning in to our top 5 movies with umlauts. Okay, wow. All right, well, there you have it. Many discoveries, some things that didn't make the list, but we just made them make the list anyway. Thank you both so much for joining me for another Discoveries episode. Lindsay, is there anything that you have to promote or direct people towards your podcast?
My podcast is going as usual, the Schlock and Awe podcast. And you can find me on Schlock and Awe 1 or Reading Geek on most of the socials. The Schlock and Awe's are mostly on all the pods. And we're just going to be doing episodes, I think, for the little bit that I can think of. Nothing hugely important coming up.
Okay, perfect. Ryan, how about yourself?
There's always stuff going down at the NWPP, New World Pictures Podcast. You can find all our episodes at our website, newworldpicturespodcast.com. We just finished Monstuary, and we talked about monster movies like Lady Frankenstein, Godzilla 1985. We're about to unveil the interview we have with the director of the American scenes for Godzilla 1985. Then we'll be going into a bunch of war movies for February and sports movies in March. Bunch of stuff, but it's all New World Pictures movies. So if you like New World Pictures movies, they will we're the place for you.
So February, and then March is just sports movies?
March Madness.
Oh, yes, March Madness. Yes.
March Madness.
I was like, March? How does that work?
Yeah, March Madness. So we're just doing the sports movies that New World put
Got
out.
it. All
Which
right.
there are not many, so we won't be doing that theme again. But yeah, we're still doing lots of theme months. It kind of makes it real fun. We kind of split them up between the three of us, and we have a good time. Keeps things hopefully fun for the audience, but also keeps it fun for us, and that's what's important.
Yes.
Because we keep, we do this every week, so we got to keep making it fun. And hopefully we're going to get a lot more interviews this year as well, and we're going to do Convince Me is going to come back. We took a year off from doing our Convince Me sub-series, but we'll be doing that, and lots of Nearly New Worlds. So yeah, we're going to keep all that going.
Awesome. Well, thank you both again for being here. It's no new discovery that I love talking movies with the two of you. How about that segue?
So good. So NPR. I love it.
Thank you.
Exactly.
I dropped that so quick. I hope that listeners find something new. As always, I'm Dirk Marshall, and this has been VHS.
Do you really want?